Today is Friday, December 27th. We'll tell you how weather has been impacting holiday travel from the Northwest to the Midwest to the South. Also, the findings from a years-long ethics investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz. And one of the most significant moves taken against the death penalty in presidential history. Plus, why experts think whooping cough is surging. Which brand of eye drops is being recalled this time? And a lawsuit that pits two Hollywood stars against one another. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Holiday travelers are coming face-to-face with some powerful storms across the U.S. Most recently, flights have been delayed or canceled in Texas because of storms that brought high winds, hail, and possible tornadoes yesterday. And overnight, Arkansas and Louisiana were in the storm's path. Meanwhile, severe weather has been impacting the Pacific Northwest. Oregon and Washington got more rain than usual and thunderstorms, leading to some flooding, high winds, and mountain snow. Plus, parts of the Midwest have been dealing with heavy fog, making it tough for drivers and pilots. Next up, another storm threat is expected over the southern U.S. tomorrow and the East Coast by Sunday. Still, this is expected to be one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. A civilian airplane from Azerbaijan crashed over Kazakhstan, and now Reuters is citing sources who say it was shot down by Russian air defenses. Before the crash, the plane came upon heavy fog and went off its flight path into an area where Russian forces have been targeting Ukrainian drones. In fact, Russia announced it had downed dozens of drones on the same day as the crash. Besides Reuters, pro-government media in Azerbaijan also say a Russian missile was responsible for downing the civilian plane. And if that's true, Russia will have to answer questions about why it did not close its airspace in the midst of military activity. But for now, the Russian government just says it's too soon to comment. 67 people were on board and 38 of them died. Most of the 29 survivors were seated at the back of the plane, which received less damage. Azerbaijan, Russia, and Kazakhstan have all launched criminal investigations. Israel has been stepping up its attacks on the Houthi militant group in Yemen. In the latest attack yesterday, the Israeli military says several targets were hit, including an international airport. The head of the World Health Organization was actually about to board a plane at the airport when it came under attack, but he was not hurt. Now the Houthis say they're ready to meet escalation with escalation. But the Houthis have already been firing drones and missiles toward Israel for more than a year, saying they're acts of solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. So Israel's prime minister says, quote, "We're just getting started with them." To be continued. The ethics report into former Congressman Matt Gaetz has finally come out. It says Gaetz regularly paid for sex from at least the time he started serving in the House in 2017 through 2020. And it says one of the people he paid was a 17-year-old girl who just finished her junior year of high school. Plus, it found Gaetz bought cocaine and ecstasy. Altogether, it says he spent tens of thousands of dollars on sex and drugs during his time in Congress. And those are just some of the report's findings. Gaetz has always said he did nothing illegal and that the committee's investigation was unfair. And this week, he sued for defamation. But that didn't stop the ethics committee from releasing the report. And to put it together, the 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats on the panel reviewed nearly 14,000 documents and contacted more than 24 people for interviews. The report also notes how some of the arrangements were made by a former tax collector who was friends with Gaetz, and that friend eventually pleaded guilty to 6 criminal charges, including sex trafficking. Though it's unlikely Gaetz will ever face charges. The Justice Department already looked into it and decided not to pursue a criminal case, citing concerns about witness credibility. As you know, Gaetz resigned from Congress last month while he was being considered for President-elect Trump's Attorney General. And then, as senators raised concerns over some of these ethical issues, he took his name out of the running for AG 2. So now Gaetz plans to join the conservative One America News Network as an anchor starting in the new year. Nearly all prisoners on federal death row are no longer facing execution. President Biden commuted 37 sentences for 37 convicted murderers. And with that, they'll all serve life in prison without the possibility of parole instead of capital punishment. Biden left just 3 men on death row. One who killed 11 worshipers at a synagogue in 2018, one who killed 9 people at a church in 2015, and one of the two brothers responsible for the Boston Marathon bombing. The president's action does not come as a huge surprise since Biden campaigned on ending the federal death penalty. The president was not able to advance that effort in Congress, so this was seen as the next step for him. Those who supported the move included faith leaders like the Pope, civil rights groups, and some friends and family members who knew the people killed by the inmates. But there's been a lot of pushback, too, including from friends and family members of some of the other victims. And President-elect Trump responded to say he will vigorously pursue the death penalty when he gets into office. But keep in mind, the president's powers are limited to those who committed federal offenses. And that's a small fraction of the thousands of other people who have been sentenced to death in the U.S. Beyond the death penalty cases, advocates are still pushing for Biden to issue more acts of forgiveness, pointing to people now in prison under outdated laws. So more pardons and commutations could be coming soon. The United States has its first official national bird. President Biden signed a bill giving the title to the bald eagle. It's been an unofficial symbol of the U.S. basically since the nation's founding. And today you can find it everywhere from the backs of quarters to the presidential seal. But without a law confirming its status, the bald eagle actually did not have the same rank as officially recognized symbols of the country, like the bison and the oak tree. So lawmakers wrote a bill to change that. We have more news for you still ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor. Did you just realize you forgot someone on your list? Or you're still in the process of last-minute gifting? Don't worry, Trade Coffee to the rescue. With Trade, you can send a coffee subscription directly to someone's inbox in minutes. It's fast, easy, and guaranteed to impress. Yes, even after the holiday, or as a way to say, have a great new year. Because this is not just coffee you're giving, this is an experience they're going to enjoy for weeks, maybe months to come. I can tell you from having a Trade subscription myself that it makes drinking coffee so much more enjoyable. I love getting that fresh bag of coffee delivered to my door, feeling the excitement of trying something new, and sipping on delicious tasting coffee that I know is high quality. I'm talking freshly roasted coffee perfectly matched to my taste from one of the top small batch roasters in the USA. Are you ready to cross that last gift off your list? Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions right now. So head to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to send a personalized coffee subscription in minutes. Again, go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy while Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions. Okay, now back to the news. Whooping cough cases across the country are the highest they've been in a decade. The CDC reports whooping cough has been on the rise for months, with 32,000 cases of the illness reported so far this year. That's more than 6 times higher than last year's number. Public health experts say the rise could be happening partly because some people are hesitant to get vaccines or because immunity declined during the pandemic. In case you're not familiar, whooping cough is officially named pertussis. It often starts with mild symptoms that get worse gradually, and the cough can linger for weeks or months. The disease is especially dangerous for infants less than a year old. Doctors say vaccination is still the best way to prevent whooping cough. Pregnant women are encouraged to get it to protect their babies, and then babies are first eligible for a shot at 2 months old. They get multiple doses throughout childhood. A popular brand of eye drops is being recalled because it could be contaminated with fungus. The FDA says Sustain lubricant eye drops Ultra PF are coming off the market because a customer found foreign matter floating in the solution. An investigation found the material was fungal. That could actually make people lose their vision or even their lives if they're immunocompromised, though no one has reported any effects so far. The eye drops were sold throughout the U.S. and online. If you bought them, you can get a refund or replacement. You can check the links in today's episode notes for more information, like lot numbers. Movie star Blake Lively has filed a civil rights complaint against her co-star and director on the movie It Ends With Us. She says Justin Baldoni sexually harassed her during filming and then unleashed a smear campaign against her as they promoted the movie in case her allegations became public. Her filing included text messages that were supposedly between Baldoni's publicist and a PR firm talking about how to ruin Lively's reputation. Baldoni's lawyer called the allegations false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious. But after Lively's allegations came out, Baldoni was dropped by his talent agency. The journalist who appears on the Man Enough podcast with Baldoni said she would no longer be a co-host. And Baldoni's former publicist filed a new lawsuit against him that also mentions the smear campaign. Plus, Lively got messages of support from her other co-stars on the movie. This is all a big turnaround from just a few months ago when an online narrative spread that accused Lively of being insensitive and controlling and of so-called mean girl behavior. So it sparked a new conversation online about who's really trying to bury who and the power of online influence. Netflix's big bet on the NFL has paid off with a new record. The streaming service's first ever live football games on Christmas Day brought in 65 million American viewers. And the two games became the most streamed NFL games in U.S. history. The first game of the day saw the Kansas City Chiefs facing off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The second game of the day was between the Baltimore Ravens and Houston Texans. And it got some help with Beyoncé's halftime performance. In fact, viewership for the game peaked during her show. All that said, Netflix couldn't quite top the number of viewers traditional broadcast networks brought in for last year's Christmas games. Movie theaters were also busy over the holiday. Disney's Mufasa rebounded from a disappointing opening weekend to bring in $14.7 million on Christmas Day, topping the box office. The vampire horror remake Nosferatu came in second with $11.5 million, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came in third with just over $10 million. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a message about our sponsor. Before my kiddo started preschool, I wanted to start giving him a vitamin to help support his immunity, energy, brain function, mood, his developing body, and more. And after doing a lot of my own research, I chose Hiya. And to be clear, I chose Hiya even before I knew they would sponsor this podcast. More than a year and a half later, I continue to love how Hiya is formulated with the help of nutritional experts and is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals. And what was important to me was that this vitamin is not just a bunch of sugar, because some children's vitamins out there are basically candy in disguise. Instead, Hiya is made with zero sugar and zero gummy junk, and yet my 3-year-old loves taking his Hiya Children's Vitamin and Kids Probiotic each morning. So we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on the regular website, so go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy to get your kids the full-body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A British couple is using a massive tree it planted decades ago to raise thousands of dollars for charity. Avril and Chris Rowlands planted a 6-foot-tall Christmas tree in their front yard back in 1978. Over the years, the tree has grown to an incredible 50 feet tall. So now the Rowlands hold an elaborate tree lighting that has become famous internationally. The couple decorates the tree with 1,000 lights, and hundreds of people show up to the lighting ceremony, which raises money for charity. In the years they've been hosting the lighting ceremony, the couple has raised more than 25,000 British pounds for charity, or a little more than $31,000. This year, the money will go to the Midlands Air Ambulance, and the lights will stay on until January 6th. We'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode, a top 10 good news countdown from the year. Thank you so much for listening. You can further support our work here and get ad-free episodes by becoming a Newsworthy Insider. It's also not too late to gift a Newsworthy Insider membership to the listener in your life. So learn more and get a free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. Thanks so much in advance. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. Join us again tomorrow, then again on Monday for another Daily News Roundup. For now, thanks again for listening and have a great weekend.